Hello and a very warm welcome. This guide has been put together by the tax experts at ProTax Accountant, and today we're diving into a topic that can cause a lot of stress and worry. What to do when you're looking at a tax bill from HMRC that you just can't afford to pay. But please, don't worry, there is a way forward, and we're going to show you exactly what it is.
You know that feeling, right? That pit in your stomach when you open an official letter from HMRC and the number just seems impossible? It's a horrible feeling. But before the panic sets in, I want you to take a deep breath and know this. There is a clear, structured path out of this, and we're going to walk you through it, step by step.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start by talking about that dreaded letter. Then we'll introduce you to your lifeline, HMRC's official solution. We'll look at who's eligible, and then create a playbook for your application. And this next part is absolutely crucial, so stick around. We'll cover how to stay on track and where to get expert help when you need it.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about that moment of dread. Facing up to the debt is often the hardest part. But you know what? It's also the most important. You can't start to solve a problem until you really truly understand it.
The most important thing I want you to take away from this is that you are absolutely not alone. Seriously, all across the UK, hardworking people and successful businesses sometimes hit cash flow problems. It happens, and HMRC knows this. That's precisely why they have systems in place to help, not to punish. And that brings us to your lifeline. The official solution we're going to explore is called a time-to-pay arrangement, or you'll often hear it called a TTP. This could be a real game changer for you.
So, what is a TTP exactly? Well, think of it as a formal deal you make with HMRC. Instead of demanding a lump sum that you just don't have, they agree to let you spread the cost over a longer period. You'll make smaller, manageable monthly payments that you can actually afford. And the great news is this covers most types of tax: self-assessment, VAT, PAYE, the whole shebang.
Now let's talk about the timescale. Typically, HMRC likes to see the debt cleared within about 12 months. But, and this is a really important but, that's not set in stone. If your situation genuinely requires more time, longer periods can absolutely be negotiated. It's all about finding a plan that's realistic and sustainable for you.
Okay, here's a pro tip, and you really can't afford to ignore this one. A TTP is a fantastic tool, but the interest doesn't just stop. It keeps on building up on whatever debt is outstanding for the entire time. With the current rate projected at 7.75%, you can see how it adds up. This just goes to show why it's so beneficial to clear that debt as quickly as your finances will realistically allow.
All right, so you know what a TTP is, and it sounds pretty helpful. The next logical question is, can you get one? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and look at what it takes to be eligible.
Now, before we even start talking about pounds and pence, HMRC looks at these core factors. They need to see that your financial hiccup is temporary, not a permanent problem. They'll also check that all your tax returns are filed and up to date. Having a good track record as a taxpayer definitely helps. And maybe most importantly, you need to come to them with a clear, thought-out, and realistic plan for repayment.
Okay, let's get into the hard numbers for setting up a plan online, because this makes things way easier. For your self-assessment tax, if the debt is under £30,000, you're in the right ballpark. For business taxes like VAT and PAYE, that online threshold goes up to £100,000. The main thing to remember is this. If your debt is under these limits and you meet the conditions, you can often get this all sorted online. If it's a larger amount, you're going to have to pick up the phone and speak to HMRC directly.
And now we're at the most crucial stage, getting your application ready. This is so important. A strong, well-prepared case makes all the difference in the world. And that's not all. Here's where most people go wrong when they try to do it without any guidance.
We can break down the prep work into 3 simple, manageable steps. First, gather everything. And I mean everything. Get a complete, honest picture of your finances, all your income from all sources, and all your essential outgoings. Second, do the math to figure out your true disposable income. Be brutally honest with yourself here. And third, use that number to come up with a repayment plan that you know, for a fact, you can stick to every single month.
This quote really hits the nail on the head. Transparency is your best friend in this process, and here's why. HMRC would much rather agree to a smaller, sustainable monthly payment that you can actually make than a really ambitious one that you might end up defaulting on a few months down the line. Why? Because chasing you for the money costs them time and resources. Honesty and realism are your most powerful tools here.
You know, theory is one thing, but let's make this feel real. I want you to meet Michael. He's a freelance graphic designer, and his story is a perfect example of how this whole process works in the real world.
So Michael got hit with a surprise £12,000 self-assessment bill. A couple of big client projects had fallen through, his income took a dive, and all of a sudden, paying that bill in one go was completely out of the question. Because his debt was under that £30,000 threshold we talked about, he knew he could apply for a TTP online.
So, what did Michael do? He did exactly what we've been talking about. He sat down and mapped out his finances. He had about £2,000 coming in each month, and his essential expenses, rent, bills, food, came to about $1,500. Simple math, right? That left him with a disposable income of £500. That was the realistic number he could offer HMRC.
And look how his journey played out. He saw the problem in January and acted fast. He didn't bury his head in the sand. By February, he had his numbers sorted and he applied. HMRC looked at his case and agreed to a 24-month plan at £500 a month. But here's the best bit. About 6 months later, his business really picked up. So he proactively called HMRC, told them the good news, increased his payments, and he managed to clear the entire debt in just over a year. That is a perfect outcome.
Now, getting your time to pay arrangement approved is a massive relief, a huge win. But it's only half the battle. Now you have to manage it successfully. Stay with me here because getting this part wrong can undo all of your hard work in an instant. The rules for success are pretty simple, but they are incredibly strict. First, you have to be proactive. If anything changes with your finances, good or bad, you have to tell HMRC. Second, set up a direct debit. Automate it. A single missed payment can put the whole agreement at risk. And finally, and this one is absolutely non-negotiable, you must stay on top of all your future tax obligations. Filing late or letting new debts pile up is the fastest way to get your TTP canceled.
And the consequences of not sticking to the plan? They're severe. If HMRC cancels your arrangement, the entire outstanding balance becomes due immediately. This isn't just a slap on the wrist. It can trigger very serious enforcement actions, including, in some cases, bailiffs or seizing assets to recover the debt. It's not a situation you want to be in.
Phew, we have covered a lot of ground today. So let's bring it all together and talk about what your next steps should be, including where you can find professional, expert support to help you navigate this whole process.
So, if you remember nothing else from our chat today, please remember these key things. A time-to-pay arrangement is a lifeline. It's not a punishment. Your success hinges on being prepared, transparent, and realistic. Communication with HMRC is absolutely essential. You have to stay compliant with all your taxes going forward. And finally, getting professional guidance can make all the difference between a stressful ordeal and a smooth resolution.
Now, before we wrap up, I do need to state the following for legal reasons. The information provided in this guide is for general purposes only. It shouldn't be relied upon exclusively to make financial decisions. Before making any big decisions, you really must consult the tax experts at Pro Tax Accountant.
And that leads me perfectly to my final point. You do not have to go through this alone. In fact, you really shouldn't. The experts at Pro Tax Accountant, well, this is what they do. They specialize in this. They can help you prepare your case, they can negotiate directly with HMRC on your behalf, and they can make sure the entire process is managed to get you the best possible outcome.
You can reach out to them directly. The best way is on WhatsApp or by phone. The number is 07985689912. You can also email them at info@protaxaccountant.co.uk. For a more detailed written breakdown of everything we've discussed, you can read their full article on this topic at the link you see on your screen now. And for more helpful tax guides just like this one, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your time.